So it turns out that today was Skip Bayless's final day on Undisputed. He put out a tweet after today's show and shared this. Today was my last show on Undisputed. I'm leaving FS1. I've been planning to pursue other opportunities for several months. I had a great 8-year run with a lot of great people at Fox, but now I'm excited for what's coming up. Stay tuned. He also shares this. Ernestine, who's his wife, and Hazel, who's his dog, surprised me with congratulations balloons when I return for my last Undisputed. Can't wait for what's next. Here we go. So we'd already known earlier this summer from the different reports that had come out that Skip Bayless would be leaving Undisputed. Of course, around a year or so ago, Shannon Sharpe decided to leave Undisputed. Seemingly, the ratings came down after Shannon Sharpe left Skip Bayless, which I think was somewhat to be expected just because of the chemistry that Skip and Shannon had was unmatched, I guess, nearly till the end. And so because of that, with the different characters and people that FS1 decided to bring on to Skip's show, it didn't have the same, it wasn't drawing in the same amount of people as it previously had been. And so now it sounds like this isn't the end for Skip Bayless. From those tweets there, it does sound like he has a plan for whatever his next move is going to be. From what I've seen, it doesn't sound like it'll be ESPN because it doesn't sound like they're wanting him back at ESPN with Stephen A. Smith, where all of this began. And they really, Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless took over sports talk shows the way that, on First Take back in the day, not too long ago, but from like 2012-ish to 2016, around that time, they were definitely dominating when it came to the sports media. And honestly, looking at when Shannon Sharpe left Undisputed, the decision to bring in these different people with Skip Bayless, the show had a different feel to it. And I think that with Skip Bayless, you need it to where, you have Skip arguing with one other person. I think that when you have too many people in there, you don't get Skip to come out and be the kind of character that he's been, where, he has his hot takes and his beliefs that not a lot of many people share. And I think that the way they did the show after Shannon Sharpe left wasn't really giving Skip the same ability to shine as he did with his time with Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith over at ESPN. And it sort of felt like there weren't as many of those moments where Skip Bayless goes viral for all of his crazy takes. If you look up on YouTube, like Skip Bayless's like top takes, stuff like that. Those kind of moments, at least for me, didn't seem to be happening quite as much. It sort of seemed like Skip was sort of toning it down a little bit. And I think when you had multiple athletes on there going back and forth with their game knowledge, it sort of went away a little bit from that argumentative type debate style. And he still debated them, but it wasn't the same in my opinion. And, I've never really tuned in Undisputed like every single day. I just pretty much watch clips here and there. And, I think Skip is funny to watch. And I really think that Skip is one of the greats when it comes to the sports media. There's no one like him. And I think that lots of people, are down on Skip and come at him for his takes that they believe are wild. And honestly, in the beginning, I used to maybe think that Skip would sort of lean into some of these things on purpose and maybe say things he didn't really believe just to get ratings. But the more that I looked into Skip and watched interviews of him talking about, how he sort of approaches everything and how he approaches the media and how he approaches his show, I really came to believe that he fully believes everything he's saying. And I think he has that conviction. And I feel like, you have friends, I have friends where they have strong opinions on sports. And, when you lock into an opinion, you sort of want to stick it out and not, admit defeat. And I think that's one of the great aspects of Skip Bayless is like he would never really abandon his takes. And I don't think it's from a place of, oh, this is going to be more entertaining for the show. I really think that he wanted to stick it out for what he thought was the reality of whatever sports situation that was. And so I think that's why he's been so entertaining. And I do wonder what he's going to do next. And I think that if he does do something else, he needs to find another person who can, take the show to the same levels that Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe did. And I'm not saying that I think that the reason Skip was successful was because of Stephen A. Smith or Shannon Sharpe. I don't think that's the case. I think that Skip was just as big a part for First Take with Stephen A. Smith as with Undisputed. I don't think that either of those guys would have reached their heights without having a guy like Skip Bayless, because when you have someone who thinks what Skip Bayless does and then the other opinions, it just creates very interesting dialogue, which is why millions and millions of people constantly tuned in to see what was happening there. So this idea that Skip Bayless is like not a good sports talker and he's, doesn't know what he's saying. Maybe at times you may disagree with what he has to say, but there's no doubt that he's been very strong when it comes to his what he's done in the sports media for his entire career. And the fact that he's 72 years old and still doing it, props to Skip Bayless. I do think he is a legend and forever will go down as one of the greats in my opinion. And it's just fun to watch him. And I mean, sports, what are they meant for? I mean, it's to enjoy yourself, to be entertained. Skip Bayless, I think he's entertaining. And I think that he needs to, whenever he goes into this new thing, whatever it is, hopefully he can find someone else to come in and create that same kind of dynamic that he had with Shannon Sharpe and Stephen A. Smith. And I do think that's still possible because I still think Undisputed had super high numbers with Shannon Sharpe. And I think the thing that Skip needs to find is that other person that can sort of, where they can build that chemistry like Skip had with Stephen A. Smith and Shannon Sharpe. So who knows if he's going to be able to find that person. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But it doesn't sound like Skip Bayless is done in the sports media, because part of me was wondering, okay, maybe this is where he's just going to leave and say, okay, I had a great career. I'm 72. I'm going to leave it now. It doesn't sound like that. And I still think he's he seems pretty excited for whatever is coming up next. I was also reading through some different things that, Max Kellerman, who left ESPN, I think he was fired not a little while ago, or in the past couple of years. He hasn't been seen in a while. I was reading this post from Awful Announcing, and they said that one of these guys shared that Max Kellerman may be reappearing later. I do wonder, how do you guys, I'm curious, let me know in the comments, how do you think Max Kellerman and Skip Bayless would interact with each other? I think that could be interesting. I'm not sure about that one, but that could be interesting. I wonder if Skip's going to go to try to help build a new kind of platform or thing, sort of like he did when he came to FS1, because it was a pretty fresh and there weren't many big shows there when Skip Bayless arrived. And so maybe that's sort of the kind of move he's going to make, and we'll see. I really hope that he can find success because I do enjoy watching him. I just think that he's so dedicated to what he does. And if you follow him on Instagram, you see him waking up at 2 a.m. There is no doubt that Skip Bayless is one of the most dedicated, hardest working people. I really do believe that. And I think he's fully dedicated to just sports and this industry that he's in. So it's a sad day that he's done on Undisputed, but I'm excited to see what he does next. But if you guys want more content like this, feel free to subscribe. I also typically touch on the NFL, but sometimes some of these sports media type topics. So feel free to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter at LukeBeller3.